Hello, welcome to Tarot for Our Times. This is Sarah, your medium on the go, and we are coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the assassination attempt, which I'm tempted to put into quotes. So at the very beginning, I am going to stress that this is for entertainment purposes only. This is pure psychic speculation on my part, which a lot of people have felt, even those that are not psychic have felt about this attempt as to whether it was real or something staged or not, or maybe even something a little bit in between about who knew and who didn't know. When I first heard the news, I was up in Lilydale. And I was sitting on the porch of the Maplewood, and a friend of mine who was visiting in from New York, who was teaching some workshops and I just left him, and he had to go to do something. I got a call on my phone, and he told me he had just heard that there had been an assassination attempt. So without knowing anything, I thought, is this real or not? It just, I don't know, from the beginning, it just hit me kind of funny. So as I learned about this, the shooter was a young fellow by the name of Thomas Matthew Crooks from Bethel Park, PA. And if any of you from Pittsburgh may be familiar, it's a southern suburb of Pittsburgh, and it is affluent, very Republican, very affluent. And from having gone to a gun safety meeting in Homewood, which is a kind of a depressed neighborhood in Pittsburgh, very racially mixed, and known for drugs and gun violence and that sort of thing. And I had learned that from the stories that people told, that drugs and guns were coming in from Bethel Park. The youth, that was one of the bigger areas that it came in from, because apparently drug abuse does not escape these more affluent communities. And I found it I've been around long enough to find it very believable. It's not saying that every kid that graduated from Bethel Park High is a junkie selling guns to the hood to, after the appliances are gone, to feed the drug habit. But it's sizing, I think, that to someone that is a little bit lacking in street smarts, so to speak, might be a little bit shocked that such an affluent community would have a big problem like that. So this is the world that this kid came from. He was a registered Republican. He didn't vote that much. An interesting, I did some reading up on him today just as a review. What's very interesting is that when he was in high school, he belonged to a gun club where all they do is, target shooting. He was such a bad shot that they asked him to leave. But after high school, apparently he did belong to some other shooting clubs. But it struck me that he wasn't much of a marksman. So the really sad thing about, it could have been a, funny theater thing in a little town like Butler. I have cousins from Butler, and I went there enough to know it is just a little dinky town, basically. Not a lot of police or anything, but boy, that sure put it on the map. So apparently, I think he was a firefighter by the name of Corey Compatore, was killed. He was the collateral damage, which makes this whole thing the most horrendous thing of all. Now, whether I don't think he heard from President Biden. I don't think he heard that much from the Trump camp. if I'm not mistaken. So, anyway, we're going to read about whether this was real or not. I have not been able to lose my skepticism in the year. It was July 13th. I'm recording this on the 12th, so depending on, I may have it out before midnight, but at any rate, you'll be able to see it on the 13th, which is the anniversary. So, okay, so the card I picked for this is the Knight of Swords in reverse, and in the meme, I have the taco head with that ridiculous looking bandage that just didn't look. That was another thing, that ridiculous looking bandage. And having heard experts say his ear would have been shot off completely, or he would have lost a big chunk of it. So that's another point of skepticism. But in this card, upright, this is a rash person who doesn't, he spreads the message quickly. He may be honest to a fault, but he isn't very diplomatic. It's a young, rash person. On the darker side, on the reverse, he's that, but he's not telling the truth. That's the only difference. That horse is still charging through, and he's, and it's a big bunch of lies. So, which would, in a layered thing of this would beg the question of, well, maybe this was a put-up job, but maybe the Taco Tata didn't know about this. And that's something I've considered, but I'm kind of wondering about that. And I'm going to do the main reading about pretty much if this was real, what it was about. Then a smaller reading, I want to just look into the shooter a little bit. He's still a mystery, which tends to make me wonder. And the thing is that his parents are both therapists. That's mind-blowing. So I just want to see what's going on with him, maybe what was going on in his head, because if this was a put-up job and they recruited this patsy, which he would have been, I would doubt that they told him that he would be killed, probably that he would be whisked away or something or other, or I don't know, but they would have they would certainly not tell him he was going to be killed. Something tells me he maybe didn't care. So I want to see about this, and then maybe a little bit about the that victim that was there. That's the really sad part about it. I mean, that whole thing was just so open season, and I think that the Secret Service woman, she was a patsy in this too. Probably wasn't told, but they figured, oh well, security was just. I mean, when you have someone who was a president running for president again, I can't believe that security would be that lax, where they would, they saw this guy getting up on the roof and everything. So, this whole thing is just suspect and ridiculous. So, we're going to see what this whole thing was about, first of all. Okay, and then the other readings will be shorter. Hopefully I shuffled these. Okay, so the main deck I'm using is the Llewellyn. Haven't used that in a while, with the beautiful watercolor images, and then the old standards before and after tarot. Okay, so I've been shuffling along here as I speak. So, so the main drift of this is, interesting. God, it's just always about the money, isn't it? Okay. We have the Ace of Pentacles, which is, I'm going to say it's money, dummy. We'll see how that falls into it. And it's interesting that in this illustration you have all this flora and plant life. You're saying that this could be something about the seeds of this attempt will get him votes. What a way to run a campaign. Okay. So aces are usually yeses about aces and major arcana are usually yeses about when you have a yes or no type of scenario going on. The energy of this is someone thought this would be a great idea. I mean, I can't believe this. I thought, the cards are going to be a little bit vague. I'm sure they're going to be vague. So let's see. The before tarot is, they had an idea. The idea was taking seed. I think when I see this with the hand, see over here, you've got the hand. They've got the hand on it. They've grabbed it here. It's in reverse, and the hand isn't quite there. Maybe they were wondering if this was such a good idea, but as you can see with the leaves being the Hebrew letter of Yud's, like once a thing gets going, it takes on a life of its own, which is the mystical Kabbalah meaning of that. And then the after tarot, which is kind of a result. Interesting that, okay. What this tells me is that this is the Six of Cups in reverse, and this is about the nostalgia, living in the past. Those kids are leaving the cups. But I would say with this in reverse, it's like, we're going to do something in the past that hasn't been done before. This is definitely what this, I didn't think these cards were going to be quite as upfront as they are. So let's see, the underlying thing between that is Justice in reverse, which is, I've been of the mindset like, yeah, maybe this whole thing was some kind of elaborate scheme, but it will never be discovered. What this card is saying, and this kind of goes to this is sort of like the energy around the Epstein thing, is that, oh, well, maybe not for now, maybe not for a while, but eventually justice will be done. Justice will happen. Because, it's been a year and we haven't heard about what the motivation of that dead shooter is. Oh, the good old moon. The good old moon. The Justice in reverse is saying there are some secrets and some pretty shadowy secrets, but they may not be revealed for a while. And we just had a full moon. We're just it's just starting to fade a bit. It was 2 days ago. Oh. And then we have the Hermit. Something tells me that there could be, this is a little bit in the future, that if there is an investigation, I think it's going to be one of those starting out as a lone wolf kind of things. It's like the investigative reporter. When you had the Watergate investigation, it was a few little lone wolves or duet investigative reporters that were kind of alone, but they really did shine their light. And again, it took on a life of its own. So, in opposition of that, we have Knight of Cups. Knight of Cups, kind of a stalking sort of guy. He's been coming up quite a bit in these readings. This is kind of a sicko idea. This is like when you get, he had a few reasonable people in the 2016 campaign that held the reins in, but All he's had is a bunch of sycophants and yes men who should have pointed out that this, aside from this this is kind of a sick thing to do. Okay, so really for entertainment purposes only, but the cards are saying what the cards are saying. So, conscious thoughts. Conscious thoughts saying, this is a strong move. Everything is in alignment. Some little nothing, nowhere town in western Pennsylvania with a police force the size of Mayberry and wide open rooftops. All of this, we're very strong here, very strong. Then we have the subconscious, an idea that they're really hanging, it's like that whole stubborn thing. This is it. We're going to hang on to it. As crazy as it is, we're going to hang on to it. So, okay, so, which is it is with all of this nutty stuff. I mean, I cannot believe the cards are saying this. I thought I was really looking for an ambiguous reading, to be quite honest, but let's continue. So in the past, before this whole thing was cooked up, we have judgment with those people in the court. They see in the regular deck, they've risen from the dead. They've risen from the coffins when Gabriel blows his horn, but they're lying there, which is saying, this was a bad idea. But they weren't listening. That's the thing, is that they were not listening. And then we had a couple of people dead. Okay. Alrighty, so in the present, we have the Hanged Man. This is pretty much where it was, I want to say. I mean, so that there were some heads in the Secret Service that were the sacrificial lambs. But this is said, as far as what we know and what they have released, we're just in the same old place that we were a year ago. And then in the not too immediate future, we have, very interesting, the smoke screen. The smoke screens that they've put up here with, they may be coming down. It's, do you know what, I would not have, until I started looking at these cards, I would not have connected this with Epstein. But it's one of those, I think it's like a domino theory, because everybody knows that's a load of crap, that, there is no list. And I did a reading on this, but trust me, to be continued. So along with this, there will be, more awareness of this, that there may be some things that are revealed about this that may be coming, because they love throwing smoke screens and distractions, but that's in reverse. So a little further down the line, we have the Nine of Cups with the smug merchant who's getting served by the peasant. Well, what this is telling me is the peasants may be starting to turn against him, and there may be some things coming out as attention comes to this. And trust me, with that, the Epstein thing not going away. So let's see, just a little bit more in the future. We have, I tell you, I cannot believe this. So, with all the lies and all the stealing and the this and the that, they don't realize they're there's something that's happening, that they're going to walk into a trap. So this is really amazing. So in the hopes and the fears, we have see, now there it was, we have the Seven of Cups, which was in reverse here. Well, the hope is that the smoke screen and illusions and the bullshit is going to still present that screen to, in distraction from the truth. That is the hope. The fear is that because it came up in reverse, don't need to pull another. The fear is that it's all going to crumble, because if people find out the truth about the Epstein stuff, they're going to be finding out the truth about this. This is the way these things, you would think they would learn from history, but no, that's not going to happen. So that's in the hopes and the fears. So in conclusion of this portion of the reading, we have again the Hermit, and this is the Hermit, like that other deck, the Royale deck that I use. He's got the snake in the path, but it's not directly in its path. He just has to walk by without disturbing it, which is about as more light is shown upon this, there will be some snakes in the grass that may try to divert us away from this. But he looks pretty much like he knows how to avoid it. So what this is saying, I just think from mighty oak trees from little acorns grow. So there may be some little acorns out there working on this story. So what this is telling me, there's something fishy about it. They don't tell me exactly how this was planned, or how they made these people their patsies, but it does tell me that as I look at this, that that woman, head of the Secret Service, that jumped all over him, something tells me she didn't know, but because someone had to take the fall, and they can't know or they'll spill their guts. Okay. That kid was played for a big sucker. I don't know what they told him. I'm sure it was maybe some people, some crazy group telling him he's going to, pick the worst marksman and tell them to go shoot the president. But that, which was a big gamble. But apparently that bullet may not even hit him. That's what I'm thinking. That bullet may not have even hit him. So that this is all very much of a mystery about. There might be something coming out, but I know that kid comes from a very disturbed background. He was kind of the nerd that was bullied, probably by the kids that run guns to Homewood. Wouldn't be surprised. And coming from that very strange community, the shadow of suburbia, that is for sure. But there's something with money, and people getting paid. Maybe people getting paid to keep their mouths shut too, which would be. And I suspect Taco might have known. He might have known about that. I just say that, it's hard to. They didn't give me the details of how this happened. Although, let's see what the next thing I'm going to read on the. Yeah, I'm going to read on the kid. Probably an abbreviated. Probably an abbreviated version of this. Oops, lost my mic. Of this reading. So, because he's a big mystery. That's the thing, is we know about his family. We know about the community, which is, when you get down to it, it's bonkers, basically. And it's interesting, the connection between this incredibly affluent neighbor with, like, the poorest neighborhood in Pittsburgh. I found that very interesting. Because there's a lot of history with that. Okay, so I'm going to shuffle these up, and I want to see what this kid... Now, he made some donation to some Democratic thing. It wasn't a candidate. It was something, but it was like a big nothing burger kind of a thing. And wasn't an actor, but he was identified as a Republican. And as I've said many times, that since the Tree of Life shooting of the 11 people back in 2018, and that guy that's, what's his name, that's now sitting on death row, he was right. He hated Trump because Trump wasn't enough of a fascist. So I'm going to say he was a fan of his, but he was disillusioned because I guess maybe he likes him better now in this term, but right of Attila the Hun would be putting it mildly. And when I heard that bio, my immediate reaction was, if anybody lifts a gun to him, it'll be someone on the extreme right. And those two attempts, whether they're real or they're not real, those people were very, very right-wing people. So, and besides it, it's not the Democrats' MO to, some of them, they have guns and everything, but to go and off them and take them into Walmart and that's kind of like not their MO. So, as we look at the kid, and let me get his name again, because the fan is blowing, driving me crazy. Thomas Matthew Crook. So Tom, let's see what's going on with Tom here. Okay, let's see where his deal is. Okay. The Hierophant. And what this tells me is that he came from a really established, on the surface, all-American background. With his parents as therapists, they are in the medicals, because this is about government, universities, hospitals. They're all established institutions. So he comes from a background. His parents were in the medical establishment. I think he went to the University of Pittsburgh for engineering, or he went to one of the satellites of Pitt. So he was part of that whole... So this is a kid that's been involved with established institutions. I would say that what this is also telling me is that the Hierophant he's sort of the leader of this. A lot of times in the religious things, he looks like the Pope. And so what this tells me is that this kid was definitely needed authority figures to obey. So he could have been easily snowed and conned into this whole thing. And lied to, and basically lied to and believed it so. We will see the energy crossing. This is... Oh! Ace of Cups. I always think of the Blues Brother movie. The first thing I thought of was, they told him he's on a mission from God. Okay? Because this is the divine emotional card in this sense, that he thought he was on a holy mission to do this. Then before, leading up to it, oh, what do we have? The Ten of Swords in reverse, upright. This is before. This is before. Yeah, the Ten of Swords. So, I think this was, this is about, nothing's going to happen to you. Nothing's going to happen to you. Because this guy he's finding the dead person with the swords. It's in reverse. It's just saying, oh no, this is not going to happen to you. And completely lied to. This is swords have been coming up in reverse. Okay, so it's about lies. So in the after tarot, we have the King of Wands getting ready to leave for the day. Again, this is about the false leader, the false. I would say, for some reason, he got it fed into his head that Trump's a big disappointment. He's just not right-wing enough and blah, 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 total opportunist, whatever. So, having said that, in opposition, we have, here we have, and I shuffled this up. We have the Knight of Swords. The big lie. The big lie with the younger person. So this would probably, I can't believe sometimes kids of therapists are kind of like they're helping everybody but their own kid. Not all, but I've seen some examples of that. So this is about, charging through with a bunch of lies again. So in the past of this reading, I swear I shuffled these. We have Judgment in reverse. So wrong messaging here. He was given the wrong message, and that's where he ended up. Sorry for being so, but okay, then in the present, what's going on with his story now? In the present, we have the Hermit. There's someone out there. There's it's a Woodward and Bernstein quiet team or a lone wolf who is out there looking for the answer, but with the regime the way it is, they've got to watch out for the obstacles, the venomous obstacles in the past. But there is somebody's looking into. Now, I could be wrong, and they may say, it was just some nut job, but I don't know. This is between me and these cards. It's okay. So they're looking for the truth for him in the immediate. Yeah, this is him. The Knight of Wands in reverse. Being the anti-hero and being someone. So he's someone, since he was the school nerd and bullied. This was his chance to be the big villainous anti-hero, but of course he was told he was going to be the big hero of this. I don't know what they fed, but I'm sure that this had a part. Giving him that. I'm going to show them I'm not the nerd. Okay. Then coming into the not too distant future, we have the Empress in reverse. Okay, this is, since it's the after tarot. I never saw this. Since it's the after tarot, she's given birth. She doesn't have that pregnant look, and you've got the swan. So maybe it was the ugly duckling that transformed into the swan. I'm going to say This is Mother Russia. I know that at every god awful thing, even with the muskrat, Mother Russia had her grubby little paws into this too. So who knows? She might have given birth to this idea, because that's how they operate. I don't know. Maybe they didn't. Maybe it makes sense, because maybe the people here don't have the imagination that a Putin does. So, and if a Russian connection could be found, all this is purely speculation, and I'm with my call. I could be completely wrong, but these cards are blowing my mind. Okay. The Two of Cups. I think the one thing they're going to reveal is that this kid was looking for a way to be loved, or to find a partnership. So you give him a cause with here this Ace of Cups energy. I'm on a mission from God. Then he has found his purpose in that. And although this is in the future, this is a future discovery, that could have been a big driving force to make him do that. They could have said it was dangerous, but there's a good chance you won't get killed, but you'd be a martyr if you did. And who knows, maybe the kid was like suicidal. I don't know. But okay, so in the hopes and the fears, we have the Two of Wands, the hopes and the fears. Okay. Two wands, and that whatever they're like, when I see wands in reverse like this, I can say that there is no future, that they're hoping there is no future. But she is holding, it's funny, it's a woman, oh no, it's a man, kind of androgynous, holding the globe in his hand. So the fear is that with Mother Russia coming up, is that there could be some foreign spilling of the beans. So we got that. So the conclusion about this poor slob here is the Three of Pentacles. And in this one, usually it's about the guy in the artisan in the church with there's nobody else with her. Okay, this is in reverse. It's like the project in that one, the project is done, the piece of art is done. This is not done, which is, there will be some answers coming out, but it's going to be a long time before we get, I forgot to do this, put this down again. Okay, so as you can see that we may not get it's going to take a while before this gets finished. Okay, so I'll leave this down so I don't forget to put it down again. Okay, so then I want to see a little bit. I'm going to do just a really quickie one about the that poor guy that ended up taking the bullet. I mean, there has been so many lives lost in relationship to this, relationship to Taco, COVID, and the policies we're having with Israel. That, I will put it this way, that both Palestinians and Israelis have been the victims of some incredibly bad leadership. That Taco Tatas he's all on board for that. So, because as far as this guy that got killed, I'm not going to try to pronounce that last name. Let's call him by his first name. Corey. This guy Corey, I think he was a firefighter. I don't know if he was a regular volunteer, whatever. But I mean, he went to see the rally, and the thing is that so many of their own are getting offed, getting unalived, and he was just there to see it. I mean, it's not like that Ashley jerk who, on January 6th tried to get into the window with, breaking windows. And I mean, what did she think was going to happen? That's a different case. With this guy, he just came to see the rally in a boring little western PA town. So let's see what the story is with this and his family. Yeah, I think that he's been kind of ignored by the people he supported. So let's see what we have with him right now. We have the Emperor here. The Emperor energy is that he might have been, not public office wise, I'm going to say that he might have been held in high esteem in his job and perhaps the community. If he wasn't from Butler, he was from some little town around. There's a lot of little towns around there. So that, I would say, that means a big loss. And then the energy of that is, the Empress, the Emperor, and the Empress. I'm not seeing Russia in that. I'm seeing, the wife, the marriage that he had. So I would say they've probably been getting a lot of, attention in their town, but probably not in their, not nationwide. I mean, every now and then he comes up, but I'm going to say that in their little community. And she's the Empress is a mother, so they had kids. I mean, it's just like, talk about a terrible choice, and a candidate could take you to some place that's going to get you killed. Who would ever have thought of that when they got up in the morning and put on their red hats and got ready to go? But okay, so surrounding that we have, here we have the Six of Cups. And whether that whole Make America Great thing, it's going back to that fantasy land that never really existed except on TV and in the movie. So he went with his family trying to catch that illusion, that really, really sad illusion. And that's the fantasy of the red hat. And then in the bigger picture, and this is kind of disturbing, there is a school of thought, and that this was the purpose of this, if this were a little bit fishy, that many believe that this may have contributed to the victory. I'll put it this way. The one cagey thing that the muskrat did, especially in my state of Pennsylvania, was he had the philosophy like, if I have them win by a landslide, that's going to look fishy. So let's narrow the margin a little bit. Then it doesn't look so fishy. So he's very sly and cunning in that. So many thought that, that was part of the victory, but what the price that was paid. So this is this is the win at all. I'm seeing this, the win at all costs, but you see those people there, they're not really into this that much. A big price to be paid. So I'm going to take a look at okay, so in the before tarot with this guy, just to get a little bit of a clearer picture, then we have Two of Cups Two of Cups in reverse, getting ready to go. And I would say this is the relationship between this family and the hooking up with this rally, and it just didn't meet expectation. Now she may have gone and voted for him, but I would say this, the matchup of the fantasy of this just it didn't happen. They're moving to have it happen, but since it's in reverse, nope, it didn't happen. Big disappointment, which goes to a larger symbolism of the FAFO crowd of people that found, like the Latinos for Trump, that voted and they had their loved ones getting deported, and people losing their jobs, white women finding out their DEI. Who would have known? Okay. But in this very personal thing, but it could be symbolic of a larger thing. Maybe if she didn't vote for Harris, maybe a couple of her neighbors did. It could have had there could have been a little bit of an opposite effect, but not enough. Okay, so then the after is unbalanced. The whole unbalanced concept of this, I would say, it's just there's the family, they're seeing this poor guy off to the other side, basically. So he's all about, he went there for this is again for entertainment purposes only, but he went there for the fantasy and the illusion, and it really didn't work out. And I would say that I'm saying this is in the years to come, even if we don't learn that much more about him, other than he was at the rally, he and the family supported him. She may have very well, maybe in the memory of, or she voted for him, But the bigger story is that history will tell us that it's the price that was paid for that illusion. That's it. The price that was paid. A very big price. And it's a very sad, in that respect, it's a very sad story. So I guess as this gets, we're very close to it now, that this will be discussed. I don't watch legacy news anymore, but I know that there are starting to be discussions about this on the YouTube channels. So I will be listening, and with that, I'll see you soon. Bye.